16th, I believe.
Today's January 16th, 2017. We're at the home of world famous treasure hunter Floyd Mann, and I've twisted his arm extra hard to telling me a story, and this one he's told me before, and I want other people to hear this, so he's agreed to tell it. He was reluctant at first, but anyways, Floyd, take it away. Tell me that story.
Okay, Terry, I told you this story, and I gave you the short version, and I'll give you the real version that I think most people want to hear. I got into treasure hunting in probably 1972. I've had several websites and a newsletter that went out to 7,000 subscribers throughout the world.
And not only that, Floyd, though, that I know that you've given a lot of information out to people throughout the world, because you come across a lot of information, and you like to share with people. So anyways, I just wanted to throw that out.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. Yeah, if somebody asks me for information and it's not a story that I'm working on at that moment, I'll gladly share the information. I get calls from all the states. They want a story or details about maybe a treasure in New Mexico or one in Arizona. I've got quite an extensive library of treasure books, and I've bought several hordes of magazines. I probably got 4,000 treasure magazines. And I think if you go to my website, Lost Treasure USA, and click on research, you'll see I've got about 19,000 articles indexed there. And those only go up to like 92 or 93. I just haven't had time to update it from 1993 to current. It'll probably be about another 20,000 articles. It's not the articles themselves. It's a reference library. It will tell you, for example, scroll down to Utah. It has maybe 200 magazine articles listed for Utah. It will tell you the magazine it appeared in, the year, the issue, and actually the page number of that article. People ask me, I'll either fax it to them, scan it to them, or mail them a hard copy. And I pick up all the expenses, the envelopes and the stamps. It's not worth trying to collect money from anybody. So it's kind of a free service. But I started a team of treasure hunters.
Before you go on to the team, I just want to say that, Floyd, I don't know if you remember this, but a lot of years ago, and I don't even know why you did it, but you sent me every treasure hunting article there was for the state of Utah, and I ain't kidding you, it was probably, I'll bet it was 1 foot tall. No exaggeration at all. The stack of papers that you mailed me in a box was 1 foot tall of printed paper articles out of magazines, newspapers, everything that you sent me. Anyways, thank you for doing that. Yeah. That had to cost you a lot. And thank you.
It was time consuming because I had to stand at a copier.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do that. Most people don't get a package that big. Most people are content if I can send them 10 pages on their story.
Well, thank you for that all them years ago.
Oh, no problem. Some people are interested in treasure stories. Some people, of course, there's different categories. There's rock hounding. There's metal collecting. People ask specifically, what information do you have on Jesse James? Or what information can you send me on the Knights of the Golden Circle? Or the Masonics, whatever. So sometimes I'll have to sort through the treasure stories to find those references. And I've got 3 or 4 people that I'm kind of their go-to guy. If they heard about an article, they're pretty sure I can find it. If I don't have it, I'll find it.
Well, I know you're definitely a go-to guy. And in fact, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think even the treasure hunting magazines that are out there now come to you for information, don't they? For articles and stuff.
Yes. I had a field editor for Lost Treasure. Until he retired from that magazine. If he got in a little bit of a slump, he'd call me and say, hey, what do you got? What do you got for me? Or I would just, without even asking him, I'd just mail him the article thinking, hey, you might be able to use this sometime in the magazine. So yes, the magazine, sometimes they want me to be a writer for them, but they don't pay enough. It's like $25 an article. It's like, I'd rather give it away for free before I'd go cash a $25 check. So I've always tried to help out people that need some help. I'm not got anything real secretive that I won't give them, unless it's just something that I'm working on at that moment. But a few years back, I gathered together what I called my team of 10. These are treasure hunters. Most of them are in Utah. And for several years, with the help of investor money, we traveled around treasure hunting. And we'd go sometimes for a week. We even had divers diving off Pismo Beach. My wife was one of my divers.
Cool.
And then she got ill, so she can't dive anymore. But we'd travel around. But the story that I think that would maybe interest your group would be my Florida trip we took a while back. Me and this group of 10, we jumped on planes in Salt Lake City. We flew into New Orleans. We rented 4 vehicles. We drove east to Panama City Beach, where I had access to a nice condo, actually 2 condos. And the 10 of us camped out there for a little over a week. Now, we had researched some stories beforehand, and we were going to go down there and go check these spots out with just normal metal detectors. We wanted to try some map dowsing techniques, some long-range locator techniques, some deep searching techniques. And when we got down there, we kind of split up into about 3 teams. And there was always a vehicle left at the condo, but then we'd take off. Some of them would drive 200 miles maybe to the east of Florida and start at the almost to the ocean and work their way back. Some of us in the middle, some went back towards New Orleans. I like to stay in the middle, so I was around the condo a lot because I was also the camp cook. So I had to make sure that I was around to make sure everybody got fed.
I've eaten some of your camp cooking, and you're a good cook.
Well, I've got a history with restaurants, and I used to cater every Memorial Day for an expedition group here in town before they kind of went a different way. And it's all meat and potatoes type cooking. There's nothing real fancy, but nobody goes away hungry. But one day I'm at the condo, getting the 2 groups out to head to the east and some to the west. And in my group, we were kind of milling around. I was preparing some food. Lady lived up above me. She came down, real nice lady, and she goes, Floyd, she goes, are you treasure hunting today? I go, every day. She goes, I got a story for you. She goes, I got to introduce you to this couple. I said, okay. I said, tell me the general idea of the story. She goes, they live in a very nice house that is sitting on top of a former pirate campground. It's up on a bluff overlooking the bay, and I think there's a lot of stuff there. In fact, they just have a gut feeling that there's something there. And I said, well, how far is it? And she goes, I'll take you right over there right now and introduce you. So we jumped in the car, followed her over. She introduces us to this nice couple, older couple, I'd say in their 70s. And I told him what we did and showed him some of my paperwork. And he goes, yeah, he said, I think we're sitting on treasure here. And I go, well, what makes you think that? He goes, I just got a gut feeling. And I said, now, this used to be a camp for pirates. He goes, for many, many years, this was a camp. He says, all these lots here where the houses are were pirates, and they could look down on the ocean, and then when they saw a ship coming in, they could go out and raid it. And he said, so this was like for many, many years. And I go, okay. I said, well, we got a piece of equipment out in the car. I said, is it all right if we pull it out and run it around your property? He goes, yeah. He said, I'm excited. So, man, he just stuck to me like glue for the rest of the day, no matter what I was doing. But I had a friend from New Mexico, had a piece of equipment, and it was called a LRL, but it was a new one that he had invented. And the general idea was when he turned this machine on and set it for gold and scanned the property, it would line up on a line with a target of gold. So we went in the backyard, set up his equipment, and there's mom and dad of the house are there, me, and about 4 others. And this guy starts scanning. Well, anyway, he gets to their house, and he goes, you got a substantial amount of gold and silver in that front corner of your house. And they looked at each other, and I go, yeah, we do. And he goes, and your neighbors over there, he says, their main thing is probably in the middle of the house. And they go, yeah, that'd be their dining room, I think. So they were getting impressed. Of course, we were all getting impressed too. So then he keeps scanning, and we didn't see anything to the edge of the bluff or going down into the ocean. So he scans around, and he kept locking back onto their house. And he goes, man, he said, I'm getting the strongest signal, like in your garage. And the guy goes, well, that would make sense. He says, you know, when we built this house, right where the garage slab is now, was a giant tree. He goes, I don't remember what kind of tree it was, but we had to take down this huge tree in order to put that garage in. And I'm thinking, well, okay, they could have been using this tree, maybe throwing a rope over a branch, lowering some chest of treasure in. So I kind of ran that by, and he goes, oh, he says, how can we get it? How can we get it? I said, we'll have to take out your garage floor. Can you do that? I go, I can do anything I set my mind to. I said, are you asking me to take out your garage floor? And he goes, if you think there's treasure there. And I go, there's treasure there. All indications say there's treasure there. And he goes, well, how are you going to do it? I said, well, we didn't bring any tools. We flew in. I'm going to go rent a compressor and a jackhammer and some tools, and we'll come back, and we're going to jackhammer out your floor. Oh, okay. He said, I'll park my car on the street. So the wife, she's walking around, she's smiling too. She's got golden dreams going in her head. And so we made a quick run to Home Depot, rented some equipment. We came back. We got busy on that floor. First, we emptied it out, took out the shelves and everything. So we had the whole floor. And it was a 2-car garage. And we just started in the middle. And we just started jackhammering a bigger and bigger hole. Kept wheelbarrowing it out, stacking it on the driveway. Neighbors are wondering what the heck's going on. People are being nosy. And I told him, I said, we really don't need any spectators. And we'd rather you didn't tell them what we're up to. Just tell them we're doing some work for you. So he'd go out to the end of the driveway, and he'd scare them away a little bit. We'd be jackhammering like crazy, taking turns, lifting out cement blocks. Then we got down to rebar. We had to go get a saw, cut the rebar out. Pretty soon we're down to the dirt. Then we're shoveling sand out like crazy. We're standing about chest deep in the dirt in the middle of the garage.
Hey, let me back you up for just 1 second.
No problem.
So before you did all this, did you do some kind of a treasure salvage agreement with them or something like that? Or
Yep, we always do. Number one, we always go with a 50-50 split.
Okay.
They've got the property. We've got the manpower and the know-how. So most people won't try to change a 50-50.
Yeah.
But it's a confidentiality agreement. Number one, they can't talk about it while the work is in progress, and they can't talk about it afterwards. And whoever was there at the signing are the only ones that can be there during the digging up of the treasure.
Okay.
Couple of times he says, oh, my kids would love to come here. They'd love to get in on a treasure hunt. I go, no, we really don't. Because number one, I was kind of afraid. The son, I said, well, how old's your son? Oh, yeah, I think he's about 40-something. I'm thinking in my mind, this son's going to hear that some jokers from Utah are digging up his folks' garage floor. He's going to talk him out of it. So I said, no, you can't just tell your son because we got that agreement. Oh, yeah, we got the agreement. I said, no, we can't bring anybody else in. And he said, okay. So we're digging. Keep scanning the hole. We keep getting a signal, but it's more of a metallic signal.
So you're still getting a signal with the LRL. You're not using a detector or anything.
We're using a detector as a backup.
Okay.
But once he says yes, it's still here in the middle of the garage floor. Then once in a while, we use a detector. But as most people know, once you break the surface of the soil, you really can't put a detector down below the surface because the signal just bounces around the hole and gives you a false signal. So we could just barely wave it above the former, what used to be a cement floor. And we were still getting a heavy metal signal. It was burying the needle. So we're all excited. Pretty soon, clunk, clunk, and we're thinking, all right, now we're on it. So we start digging it up. It was a whole bunch of broken sewer pipes. Evidently, who had done this garage floor had just started chucking metal into the hole before they put the sand and the rebar and the cement floor on. We dug, we kept pulling out all this metal, cast iron pipes. Finally, we weren't getting a signal anymore in the hole because we had taken out the treasure. And we call it sewer pipes.
So how big of a hole how deep of a hole did you guys? What size was it?
Well, it was up to my shoulders almost.
How wide was you?
Wider than my hand. I'd say I was standing in a hole when it was my turn to dig or lift out pieces. I'd say we were going about a 7-foot by 8-foot hole, which was pretty much a third of the garage floor. But we had jackhammered way more than that size of the hole, and we told them we'd repair the floor when we were done. We knew that we were just going to redo the whole floor. Bring in rebar, bring in cement. Then we promised them we'd paint it brown, the color it was before we left. So finally, unfortunately, we decided the LRL lied to us. The detector was telling the truth. Yes, there's metal in there. But it wasn't a treasure that we were after. So then we were all kind of bummed out because we were thinking, man, when we go back to the condo tonight, team number 2, us, we're going to have the best story of the treasure that we had. While these jokers that were way over here, hopefully they find treasure too because we're all splitting it. But I said, we got a better story than what they're going to come up with. And it always has been. So, old Fred, the old man, he's kind of disappointed. He goes, oh, darn it. He says, I was sure we were on it. He says, because that's exactly about where that tree was. I said, well, when they took out the tree, and ripped out the stump, they had to fill in the hole with something. So, look at they just threw anything that they could find in the hole and then covered it up. And he goes, well, I wasn't around when they did the floor. But yeah, he said, I wouldn't put it past those guys. I said, well, you see what we pulled out? Somebody had to have put it in there. And if you didn't do it, then your contractor did. He goes, oh, okay. He says, is there anything else? Do you see anything else on this property? I go, no, this was the best signal right here. So then the rest of the afternoon, I became a cement mason.
So I remember you telling me too that you guys had to catch your flight. You didn't have a lot of time. You had to hurry and get this put back together.
Yeah, we were flying out like the next morning, but we knew we couldn't paint it. The cement would have to dry at least overnight, and so we were like thinking, man, how in the heck are we gonna pull this off? Because we got to drive all the way back to New Orleans, turn in the rental vehicles, and then fly back to Utah. So you never saw 4 or 5 guys hustling so much. There was a couple of ladies involved too. But yeah, we went and got cement. We did him up a nice floor, no cracks in it. I mean, he had a better floor when we were done. Plus, he had a fresh coat of paint. Plus, his wife directed us to put the stuff back in the garage in a different order because she couldn't convince her son or her husband to move all that stuff. I said, well, you got us here. We'll put it wherever you want. So I think, I'm not positive on this, whether they had it on the premises or we bought it, but eventually there was a large sectional piece of carpet was put down also. And it looked like a nice little rec room. I mean, it was kind of a shame to put a car back in there. It looked so nice. But anyway, so we shook hands all around and they said, man, we got a story to tell. And I go, well, just don't mention our names. Don't tell them, that was guys from Utah, because they'll figure it out. He goes, no, he said, I'll just say some treasure hunters. And he says, you came in and you tore up my garage floor and we were treasure hunting. He goes, me and my wife, we've had the best darn day, he said. This has been more fun than anything I can remember. And his wife bobbed her head. She goes, yeah. She goes, this was so much fun. Of course, she was bringing us out cool drinks all during the day, but we had our own lunch in the cooler. But we shook hands. Haven't talked to him since.
So why I like that story, Floyd, is because, you know, you did what most people aren't willing to do, and that's why you've been a successful treasure hunter. Or that's what it takes to become a successful treasure hunter. You have to be willing to do what most people won't, and that's just one great story of what you was willing to do. You know, go in and tear up somebody's garage and put it back together. To, you know, it turned out that it wasn't something, and
but you didn't know.
you didn't know
till you dig.
You don't know till you dig. So
yeah, no, we dug a lot of empty holes. You know, I've had some failures. I've dug some big honking holes.
We've all had a lot of failures. We've all have, but you know, I've had and I'm sure you're the same way. I've had my heart beating a lot. You know.
Oh yeah.
You know, you think you're right there, and your heart's pounding, and you're seeing some things that shouldn't be there, and it turns out to be nothing. But you got to go through that, you know, and that's half the fun.
I've been places I shouldn't been. I mean, you know, I've been shot at. I've been chased. Been shot at twice.
Terrible.
2 different places. One in Texas and one in Missouri. I've been kicked out of cemeteries because people thought we were digging up graves. Like, oh, if we dig a hole in a cemetery, we'll run a piece of equipment over it first, make sure there's not a body in there. And we got a couple cemeteries where we found graves and there were no bodies or caskets in them.
Huh.
A foot square target. Very dense, probably gold bars, but you got to be a special kind of crazy to dig in a cemetery.
Yep.
But we had to confirm our beliefs. Number one, certain headstones were leading us there. We had clues. We went to that cemetery for a reason. It took a lot of research, and we knew we were in the right cemetery. But yeah, you got to be able to go beyond what other people would do.
Yep.
You know, you snooze, you lose.
Yep.
So we're not afraid to dig. We're not afraid to bring equipment. We've spent thousands of dollars in airline tickets and rental cars and meals, and we've had a lot of fun.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that, and I heard, Floyd, that you used to have that treasure hunting website, but I heard that you're starting up a new blog or something like that. Tell me about that.
Okay. Yeah, I've had so many people say, man, you got so many stories, you ought to put them down in a book.
And you do have a lot of stories.
I said, oh yeah. I said, my book would be a couple of volumes. But I said, until somebody breaks my legs and I can't go out treasure hunting, I don't think I have the patience to just sit and bang away at a typewriter. But second best thing I'm going to start off with, I'm going to do a blog of basically my treasure stories.
So this hasn't started yet. You're going to be starting it here real soon.
In February, I hope to.
Okay.
I'm thinking, and it'd be a Facebook page. It'd be under my real name, Floyd Ray Mann. I have a Facebook page of Floyd Mann, but my blog will be on Floyd Ray Mann, and it's up and it's available. I can start typing on it today. I'm just not quite ready.
So they go to Facebook. People go to Facebook. They just type in Floyd Ray Mann, and you'll come up.
It'll take me right to that page.
Okay.
I started a list. I've got 200 stories in mind. I just don't know in what order I'm going to put them. But every time I always carry a pen and notepad with me. When I think of another story, I just scribble a note, and then I try to decipher it when I get home what the heck I was writing while I was driving. I bet I can come up with 400 entertaining tales of treasure.
I bet you can. There's no doubt in my mind you can.
I'm going to work on it.
Cool. Hey, on that, let me turn off this video camera, because on this other treasure deal, I don't want to get it on camera. So let me turn this off, and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
That's a wrap. Thanks.